Well, good morning, and welcome to sunny Florida, the Sunshine State, located on the southeast corner of the United States. I'm going to be your pilot, Impending Joker, and we're going to be taking out the Aerosoft Twin Otter, an oldie, some would argue a goodie. I happen to really enjoy the aircraft. And we're going to first turn down this so that I'm not listening to myself talk over the stream. Technical difficulty, please stand by. So without much further ado, we're going to go ahead and switch on over to the sim and get underway. First, let's look at the Twin Otter. She is a very rugged and dependable aircraft in real life. I happen to really like the Aerosoft Twin Otter. It's got a few bugs in it still that they never fixed before they took it off the marketplace. But on the whole, I think it's quite a nice aircraft to fly, especially for what we're going to be doing today. Right now, this is in the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA, and they actually fly these airplanes currently out of KLAL, which is Lakeland-Linder Airport in Lakeland, Florida. We're going to get set up, and we're going to fly down to Arcadia, which is a nice little remote airstrip down near Port Charlotte, way inland from Port Charlotte, but in that general vicinity. And depending on what the winds look like, we might do it as a grass field landing, or we'll, if we're feeling non-adventurous, we'll just come in on the standard asphalt runway that they have there. And then from there, we'll switch back over and fly direct back up this direction, but a little further to the west to KTPF, which is Peter O. Knight Field, which is just south of Tampa on Davis Island, just south of Tampa. And then we'll jump over there from Peter O. Knight to to Plant City Municipal Airport, which is KPCM, for those of you following along. And then from KPCM, we'll come right back here to KLAL. A little bit about this scenery. This scenery is from, if I check my notes here, is from MS Scenery Builders. And it's a nice rendition of the airport. This is where they have Sun and Fun every year by EAA. This is their second big air show after Oshkosh. And it's a wonderful, wonderful air show. I've been many, many times. So without much further delay, let's go ahead and jump in and get this beauty started. Now, welcome to the cockpit. We're going to go ahead and do some housekeeping. Get the control lock taken out of the way. Check all of our lights and switches. Check our breakers. Even though I know it's not modeled, we're still going to go through the motions of making sure that everything is the way it should be, and we're looking good. Make sure there's nothing screwy going on in the back. Set our throttles. We're going to set our fuel to off. Alright, set all of our switches here. Alright, everything is good to go. Power coming on to the battery. And with that, to show people that we're getting ready to do stuff, it's always nice to not chop people up. Go ahead and turn on our anti-collision light. And we'll go ahead and throw the DC master to energize the aircraft. Go ahead and turn off all these lights that we don't need here in the daytime. So one of the weird things about this aircraft is it defaults to, no matter what time of day you fly it, it defaults to all the lights turned on. Alright, go ahead and check everything, make sure we got gas. we've got fuel. We're going to turn on the boost pumps and forward boost pumps on. To pressurize the system. Set everything, check, double check. Go ahead and turn on the fasten seatbelt and no smoking signs. This aircraft is not especially difficult to start. And since today is a day ending in Y, we're going to go ahead and start the left engine first. Looking as the torque builds. Engine RPM coming up. And we're going to go ahead and select fuel to on. Monitor the temperature. Make sure we don't have any spikes. And we have a good light off on 1. And just to make things a little more realistic is how we used to operate these, or the French Air Force anyway used to operate these, is that after they would start the engine, they would pull it back into the feathered position, so as to slow the engine down. And we'll go ahead and start right engine. Make sure everything's clear. And the prop is turning. We're good to go. Wait for it to come. Watching. And adding fuel. Watch it, monitor our temperatures. No spikes. Good torques. Good pressures. Oil temperatures coming up. Good stabilize, good start on 2. Okay. Go ahead and finish doing our taxi preparations. Taxi light can come on. Positional lights can come on. And we don't need the bleed air on. Don't need this. Turn the pitot heat on regardless, just in case. Strobe lights can't come on. And go ahead and look at our handiwork to see what we have accomplished. And we've got ourselves running. Looking good. Alright, so let's go ahead and bring our propellers into flight. We're good to go. Depress the brake pedals, release the parking brake. We are going to be flying at 3,500 feet today. Okay. Go ahead and calibrate our altimeter. It's already good. Lakeland ground, NOAA 06. Request permission, taxi to runway 10, departure to the south. Now I'm not using the air traffic control because, as we all know, the air traffic control system in Flight Sim 20 is not that great. But we'll go through the motions. And one last piece of housekeeping is to turn on the generators and keep it on the taxiway. Now for anybody who hasn't watched my streams before, and I didn't really discuss it in my first test stream, I've been in flight simulation as a hobby since 1982 with Sublogic Flight Simulator, which was what Microsoft Flight Simulator was derived from after they took it over from Sublogic. I kind of fell out of it after that. I flew other flight simulators until my family was able to get a computer that could run FS5 and FS 5.1. And from that point forward, I have flown every version of Microsoft Flight Simulator since that iteration. And that would have been in about 92, 93 era. It's hard to remember now. It's been that long. Real world aviation experience, however, 7 years U.S. Army as a helicopter mechanic. Traveled all over the world in that job, visited 11 different countries, was stationed in Savannah, Georgia at Hunt Army Airfield for about 2.5 years. Then I went to, about 3 years actually. Then I went to Egypt, where I was based in the Sinai for a year. And then from there I went to Hawaii for 3 years at Wheeler Army Airfield. Difficult job, but somebody's got to do it. Lakeland Tower, NOAA 06, departing runway 10. Request permission for takeoff, over. Let's go ahead and get our landing lights on since we're getting ready to take over the runway. Check to make sure there's nothing coming in from the left. Make sure there's nobody landing or taxiing to the right. And let's go ahead and position and hold. Okay. We're not going to need any flaps for this long runway, so we're going to go no flaps on the takeoff, and we're going to go ahead and bring our power up, stabilize, make sure we got no warning lights, and we're good to go. Release brakes and power to full. And there's 80 knots. And we're coming back on the stick, and up we go. And we'll go ahead and hand fly it until we get onto our course here and our altitude. And there's 1,000 feet. Go ahead and make sure the taxi lights are off. And we'll start our turn out to the south. And let's bring us back to climb power. Let's get our GPS set up here. For the GPS. there's our 3500. Let's go ahead and activate autopilot. And the yaw dampener can come on. Winds don't seem that bad today. Now that we're at our altitude, we're going to go ahead and bring back our power to cruise and adjust our RPM to cruise. And that should give us roughly 150 knots once everything settles down. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. This is just going to be a very quick flight. Take about 15-20 minutes to get down there. Some of the areas out here in Central Florida that you're going to see, like this feature coming up on our left, is actually a big mine where they mine phosphate and various other minerals by a company called Mosaic, and they own a lot of phosphate mines out here. In fact, that's what a lot of this stuff is, just off our left wingtip as well. And off our right wingtip are even more phosphate mines. I do have my head tracking on. If it does make anybody sick, do let me know. And I'll endeavor to calm my head movements down or pause it more frequently when I'm not actually doing anything. Well, Chiocho, you've seen these flights several times over the years. But that's not true. You often have questions regardless. This area of Florida is also relatively featureless and flat. Mainly trees and swamp, and these phosphate mines are about the only kind of relief that you have in the grand scheme of flat. And some of them are several hundred feet tall. And for those of you just joining us, this is your captain speaking. From the flight deck, I am Impending Joker. We're in the Aerosoft Twin Otter, and we're on our way down to Arcadia Municipal Airport, X06 in Arcadia, Florida. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask. Get that nice glint of Central Florida sun reflecting off the wingtips. And we are 10 minutes, or correction, we are 5 minutes out, 10 miles. So we're going to go ahead and start preparing for our approach. Go ahead and start pulling back the power. I'm going to deactivate the autopilot, wait for the warning. There it is. And we're going to slowly start our descent.
I didn't hear the beeps this time. Maybe it was really on.
Well, I have the sounds kind of turned down.
Okay.
Little off course here. Bring it back. And for the eagle-eyed among you, you may be able to spot our airport. It's coming up about our 11 o'clock in about 4 miles. Okay, bring in our first knots of flaps. A little bumpy this close to the ground. Not unusual for Florida this time of year, though. It's like driving over an unpaved road. Bring in our next notch of flaps. Making our final turn. We're going to continue with the approach. And we're looking for those 1,000 foot markers. And we are down at reverse thrust. Go ahead and bring our flaps up. Put our taxi light on. Floated a little bit there on touchdown. So now we got to taxi all the way to the end. Go ahead and turn off our landing lights. Keep the no smoking and fasten seatbelt signs on. Welcome to Arcadia, Florida. Here we are, beautiful Arcadia, Florida, out in the middle of the Florida wilderness. Not too much going on out in these neck of the woods. The only time it gets exciting is when a hurricane comes around. So, and then that note, what we're going to do is we landed with a tailwind, and we take off on the opposite runway. It gives us a little more of a headwind, but let's be adventurous and we'll take off on the taxi or the grass strip on our way out. Thank you very much. I'm glad I could make the landing largely uneventful. And I'm glad you like the scenery. Florida is actually a pretty flat state, like the plains. Not a lot of terrain features, but it's got a lot of green. And with that said, we'll go ahead and set our fuel. Props. We started the left engine first earlier, so we'll go ahead and start engine number 2 first this time. Take a look. Engine is spinning. Check our temperatures. Good to go. Good start. We'll go ahead and get start on 1. Check. Blades are turning. Checking our temperatures. Oil pressure coming up. Engine start deactivated. Good start on 2. Go ahead and get our anti-collision positional lights on. Get our passengers back in the seat, tell them to stop smoking. And then while we're doing that, we will go ahead and set this up for direct to to KPCM. Or sorry, KTPF is our next route. Okay, now we got that all set up. Reset, calibrate our altimeter. We will set 1 notch of flaps for the grass landing or the grass strip takeoff. Depress the brakes. Taxi light can come on. And we're going to go ahead and clear. And since we have no traffic here, we'll go ahead and just taxi across the ramp. This will give us a slight left crosswind. Shouldn't be too bad. Nothing that the plane can't handle. The pilot, on the other hand, we'll see. And before we make entry onto the taxiway or the runway to taxi back, go ahead and turn on our landing lights. To all of you who are just joining us, we're getting ready to take off from X06, Arcadia Municipal Airport in Arcadia, Florida, for the next leg of our touring West Central Florida. We're going to be heading back up towards Tampa to KTPF, which is Tampa's Peter O. Knight Field. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. And if I don't see it, our chat mod is in there. Chiocha, she can take care of you if there's anything you want to know. Let's go ahead and get this plane turned aligned up on the runway. Okay, we're good to go. Strobes are on. Flaps are set. Fuel's full forward. Props full forward. Lights are on. Temperatures, pressures are good. Cargo is secure in the rear. Let's go flying. Go ahead, let's bring our power up to initial setting. Check engine stabilized. Pneumatic pressure warning light goes out. Bring us up to full power. And off we go. Airspeed is alive. That's 60 knots. That's 70. And up we go. let's go ahead and bring those flaps in. Make a slight right-hand turn to get nearer to our course. Little bumpy this low to the ground. Port is notorious for rising thermals. Gets hot here quick. Let's go ahead and bring our throttles back. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. We are making our initial climb to our cruise altitude of 3,500 feet. And we'll be with you after we reach our cruising altitude and we get everything settled for our flight back to Tampa. And we're at cruise altitude. And we'll go ahead and bring back our power to cruise along with our propellers. So we're looking for no more than 40 pounds of torque. Right engine's a little low. Bring that back up to match the left. And that should give us about a speed of around 148 or so for the trip back. Today's flight's being conducted with a Logitech Sci-Tech X56 Rhino. Just because this is a last moment thing and I wasn't planning on doing a stream at this point in time, or I would be using my Honeycomb Alpha and Bravo. Thank you, Julian. Welcome to the channel. I'm glad you're enjoying the flight. Give you all an outside view so you can see what I'm flying. We're flying the Aerosoft Twin Otter in the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration livery. And in so doing, also reminds me that I need to go ahead and turn off my taxi light. which is all good. Thank you, Tony. Welcome. I'm glad you're enjoying it. We're now in our cruise altitude of 3,500 feet. There's going to be some light chop at this altitude. Rising thermals won't be as bad this high. Very light clouds. Winds slightly out of the west-northwest right now. I'm flying with real weather on, real time of day. I actually do live in Central Florida. That's why we're doing this flight. I'm very familiar with this area. Flown around here for many years, both in simulators and in real life. Our current destination, for those of you who are just joining us, this is our second leg from Arcadia up to Peter O'Knight Field, just south of Tampa. The reason why the name Impending Joker, that used to be my old Xbox Live gamer tag before they made them all short, and I couldn't get it back after I changed it for one reason or another. I just stuck with it because I tell people I have a million of them, but they're not all funny. So at some point, I'll be funny. You just don't know when. And I also like it better than my new Xbox Live gamer tag. Yeah, that was my, that gamer tag was, I made it day one when I got the original Xbox from way, way back. Also, if you're having difficulty hearing me over the audio of the aircraft, please let me know. I can make some audio adjustments. I don't have my original Xbox anymore. I do still have my Halo Edition original Xbox. The original one kind of got broken because I bought it before I went to Bosnia when I was stationed there when I was in the Army, and I bought it to give me something to do when I was in country, and when it got shipped back, it got pretty badly damaged, so I had to do some modifications to it to make it work, and after a while it just kind of gave up the ghost, and so I ended up buying the Halo 2 limited edition Xbox, then went to the Xbox 360, then the Xbox One. I also had PlayStation, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 4, GameCube. I played it all. Now I no longer have any consoles. I've gone strictly PC just because there's nothing really out there on that's console exclusive that really speaks to me anymore. I don't play JRPGs, which is you find on PlayStation 5. I'm not a huge fan of Call of Duty franchise, which while it's on PC, I also no longer play that. So go ahead and give y'all another look on the exterior of the aircraft. You see some of the terrain around here, not a lot. Florida is pretty flat in this general area. Yeah, this is something I'm. I'm definitely on my PC right now. I just bought and built a brand new PC. And it's got a RTX 4070 Super in it, and an i7 14700. It's got. Soon we'll have two 1 terabyte SSDs in it. Currently only has one, with liquid cooling and a cyber power glass case with LED lighting. I'm 100% PC now. Off to our left, about 15 miles, you'll be able to start seeing the mouth of Tampa Bay, which is over to our about 10 o'clock, 9:30 area. Straight ahead of us is Hillsborough Bay, which is where the airport we're headed for now, Peter O'Knight is. The little peninsula that's jutting out into the water is actually where MacDill Air Force Base is, which they just had an air show there called what is that? I can't remember. They only have it every few years now. They used to have it every year, but now it's only every few years now. I'll have to look that up and let you know. But it was about 3 weeks ago now. The week before Sun and Fun. Looks like we got some traffic out ahead of us at 12 o'clock low. We're starting to get close to Sarasota. QSRQ is right off our left wingtip. Out ahead of us is downtown Tampa, where you have Peter O'Knight, which is our destination, Albert Whitted Field, which is on the other side of the bay off that direction towards downtown St. Petersburg. Then you have MacDill Air Force Base, which is immediately here off our 11 o'clock. And to the north of that is Tampa International, KTPA. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to begin our descent. We are 10 miles out and about 4 minutes from landing. Bring our power back. We're going to deactivate the autopilot and fly us in manually. That sound is the sound of the autopilot disengaging. Nothing to be worried about. Immediately to our left here, off our left wing, is the Apollo Beach Power Plant, which supplies the majority of the power to the Tampa Bay area, especially in Hillsborough County. It's also the home of the manatee viewing platform, which gets really popular in the wintertime when the manatees come in for the warm waters. It's quite a sight to behold. Very large animals just floating gracefully in the water. Well, Tony, that's one of the beauties about Microsoft Flight Simulator and watching streams like this, is it allows you to explore parts of the world that you may never actually get a chance to go to in real life. I was fortunate that I got to go to many places during my time in the military. I visited 11 different foreign countries, and a lot of people never even leave their own home state here in the U.S. Coming up off to our right is the Port of Tampa, and this is where we're going to start our initial entry for our approach. Set our prop pitch to full 5. It'll help slow us down in the descent, acting as a speed brake. We'll be making our approach here, I think it's runway 6 at Peter O'Knight. We'll taxi in to the FBO, shut down, and prepare for our next leg, which will be very short, to KPCM, which is Plant City Municipal Airport. Set flaps 10. Flaps are traveling. Set flaps 30. turning final. Pretty blustery over the bay today. Trying to get down to our glide slope here. Got a little bit of a crosswind coming. And we're going to go ahead and proceed. And there we are. There's our 2 red, 2 white. And hold it off. And mirror down. Get our wing down here. A little heavy on the crosswind. Should have come in on runway 36, it seems. That's all good. We are down. We are safe. Passengers are scared. And we'll go ahead and bring our landing lights off. And we can bring our taxi lights on. Pitot heat off. Yeah, it looks like we got somebody waiting for us to marshal us in. Either that or he's a referee and he's telling us that we just made a touchdown. And he's telling us to come to the left. Slowly, 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 and stop. Hold brakes. Parking brakes are set. Landing lights are off. Taxi light can't come off. No smoking. Position lights can come off. Anti-collision light off. Generators off. We're going to go ahead and pull the blades back to feather. And fuel can come off. Yaw damper off. Master off. And battery off. Welcome to Peter O. Knight Field, Tampa, Florida. This actually used to be the primary airport for the area until it could no longer handle the jet-powered aircraft that were coming on the scene in the late 50s. So they had to build Tampa International just to the northwest of here. You can look on YouTube and you can see one time the U.S. Air Force made a big oopsie and accidentally landed a C-17 cargo plane at this airport. And the runway is just barely long enough to accommodate an airplane of that size. I've got nothing against the Air Force, but I was in the Army. Well, Tony, I do hope that you make it to Florida one day. There's quite a lot to see. If you're looking for natural beauty, there's a lot of that to see, from the Florida Keys all the way up to the Okefenokee Swamp, to the Swanee River, to the Big Bend area and the White Sand Beaches. Beautiful, beautiful state. And a nice welcome to all of y'all who are joining us now. This is the end of our second leg. We just finished a flight from Arcadia X06 to Tampa's Peter O'Knight Field, which is KTPF. That's Kilo Tango Papa Foxtrot. And I was just giving a little bit of a brief history. Just to the north of us, you can see downtown Tampa. Across the way, you can actually see some of the shipyards where they actually build and repair bulk freighters. I used to work over there in the port of Tampa once upon a time, many moons ago. Our next hop is going to be exactly that. It's going to be a very short hop from here to Plant City Municipal Airport, which is the airport that I first flew in a private airplane, a Cessna 172. November 737 Golf. Ugly tan and brown job. And with that, we'll go ahead and bring everything back to life. So we'll bring our batteries up. Anti-collision lights on. Let people know that we're getting ready to do stuff. Bring in the DC master. Fasten seatbelt signs and no smoking signs can go on. Even though there's nobody back there, just a box. Wonder what NOAA is transporting that's top secret. Oh, we'll go ahead and look. We are clear out the right or the left side of the aircraft, and I don't see anything on the right. And because we started the right engine first last time, we'll start the left engine first this time. And we have a good light off on 1. Clear of spinning. Temperature's good. Oil pressure coming up. Prop climbing. Good fuel quantity. We're good to go. Good start on 1. Go ahead and get number 2 lit. Same as before. We are clear on the prop. And we are turning. Temperatures are good. Oil pressure is climbing. And we'll go ahead and add fuel. Good fuel flow. Temperatures are stabilized. Oil pressure climbing into the green. The sound of that, the starter switch turning off. Good start on 2. Go ahead and bring in the generators now. Taxi light can come on. And we'll turn on the position lights just because. Alright, let's see what we still got over here. I'll reset props. It wants me to cycle the propellers, so we will go ahead and do that. And for this, I'm not going to worry about the GPS. I've flown this route hundreds of times in the simulator and in real life. I know this VFR route very well. We're going to make sure our flaps are up, trim is set, parking brakes are off, taxi forward, do our brake check, good to go. And we'll use runway 36 to take off with. That'll be pointing us right at downtown Tampa as we come off the ground. And we'll make an immediate bank to the right so that we don't fly over downtown, because they kind of get agitated when you go flying through their tall buildings. And thank you for the compliment, Tony. I wasn't ignoring you. And yes, this is really what the weather looks like in Tampa right now. It is warm, clear, no clouds. Very boring. Well, not for flying. It makes it great for flying, but it doesn't make it much fun for people to watch. I'm sorry. Alright, hold short of the runway, get our landing lights on, taxi light can come off. Make sure generators are on. They are on. Flaps will set to 10. Okay, and we will take the runway. And Peter Knight is an uncontrolled airport, so we will give a warning. Let's say Peter Knight Field. This is NOAA 06. Taking off runway 36, departure to the east. Peter Knight traffic. I hear nobody, I see nobody. We're taking the runway. Okay, we're good to go. Flaps are 10. Fuel was not set correctly, so I just turned the engines off. We'll go ahead and get those relit real quick. Ladies and gentlemen, we are having technical difficulties. Please stand by. Fortunately, this aircraft, having PT-6As, starts pretty quickly. And just like that, we're already back up to flight power. Okay. Let's bring the engines up. Check temperatures, check pressures, they're all good. I like it. Release brakes, full takeoff power. That's 70 knots. And up we go. And we're climbing. Positive rate. Go ahead and make our turn out here across the port of Tampa. Very bumpy right here right now. And flaps can come back up. We're looking for a roughly a 07 heading out of here. We'll keep this one a little lower because there's nothing much out this direction for us to have to worry about hitting. So we're now at a cruise altitude about 2,100 feet. Like I said, not as high as the last leg because we're not going as far. Off to our left, that airport is Kilo Victor Delta Foxtrot, formerly Vandenberg Field, and is now known as Tampa Bay Executive. And it says I overstressed the aircraft. Don't ask me how, but apparently I did. Okay. Who knew that flying the aircraft straight and level would stress the airframe? So, what we're going to do is reset back to Peter O'Knight Field on runway 36. So, sorry about that. Apparently I did something that the simulator did not like. I didn't know flying straight and level would overstress the airplane. So let's go ahead and do that again. Go ahead and get our flaps all set. Lights, taxi lights can come back off. Don't need those. All that, good to go. Set altimeter. And here we go. Oop. Parking brakes released. And takeoff power set. There, we're at 70 knots again. And up we go. Bring the flaps up. So let's go ahead and bring our throttles back a little sooner this time, since the plane's wanting to be persnickety today. Hopefully, this time, we won't magically crash. It could have been too much turbulence. I didn't think I was going to, I just leveled out and was getting ready to throttle back to my cruise power settings, when all of a sudden it just like, hey, guess what? I'm broken now. So, once again, before I was so rudely interrupted by my airplane falling apart, That down there is Vandenberg Airport, now known as Tampa Bay Executive. The ICAO identifier is Kilo Victor Delta Foxtrot. Down below us is the bypass canal for the Hillsborough River, also known as the Tampa Bypass Canal. This Kilo Victor Delta Foxtrot. Now the Twin Otter's power settings are set by torque and RPM. So the cruise setting typically for the PT6As are usually about 7,500 RPM and about 400 pounds of torque. KVDF, or it's Tampa Bay Executive. It's in Tampa, way to the north. And just like that, we're already sitting up on a long final for Plant City Municipal. It's going to be another crosswind landing because they only have an east-west runway. Zero 0826. And we're coming in on runway 08. And a lot of that reason is because Plant City Municipal Airport does have a noise abatement procedure for coming in on the other runway. Because of the people that live off the end of it, they don't like so much airplane noise over their heads. So this is typically the primary approach. Go ahead and set our descent power. We're going to go ahead and turn off the GPWS. Yeah, the weather's quite nice here. It's warm. I couldn't tell you exactly what it is in centigrade right now. But it is probably. Actually, if I get my my moderator to check her phone real quick, she can probably tell me what the temperature is. I don't have my phone readily available. is going to be a bit bumpy. Got to clear these trees at the end of the runway. Give me flaps 20. We're going to continue. We're looking for the 1,000 foot markers down the runway. Ooh, this is a bumpy approach. A little rough there, a little rough. Got a little close there to that aviation sign. So welcome to Plant City Airport. Plant City Municipal Airport. This is the first airport I ever flew out of in a small private airplane, small Cessna 172, with me and my best friend. Yeah, Ryanair style, yeah. Yeah, it was a very rough landing. The winds are very strong here today, it seems. And me and my best friend went up with with our instructor. It was just before he graduated high school and joined the U.S. Navy, and then about a year later I'd graduate and join the U.S. Army. But this is a nice airport in real life. Nice little bitty feel. Handful of airplanes flying in out here. Some flight instruction going on. But overall, it's a good little airport. I like it a lot. The scenery is fantastic. This one is by Verticalsim, who actually made the Peter O'Knight Airport that we took off from just a few minutes ago. And he also made a Tampa International scenery, which we did not visit on this flight. Maybe in another flight in the future. Perhaps we'll fly into there because it's also another beautiful scenery. I just happen to have all these airports for Florida since this is where I'm from. So, with that said, we'll go ahead and do our final leg, which is to KLAL, which is Kilo Lima Alpha Lima, which is Lakeland-Linder Regional Airport. Good. Anti-collision light on, no smoking, fasten seatbelt sign, come on. And we start the right engine first. We're good to go. Good temperatures. Good pressures. Good start. Go ahead and bring up number 1 engine. It's all clear. Watching the turn. Temperature rising, pressure coming up. And starter disconnect. Good light off on 1. Taxi lights can come on. Feet on the brakes. Release the parking brake. We will set 10 degrees flaps. And Lakeland-Linder is actually where this aircraft that I'm flying is actually based out of with NOAA. They used to be based at MacDill Air Force Base, but MacDill Air Force Base said, we don't want you here anymore because we want to bring in more aerial refuelers and the U.S. Army National Guard wants to move in. So, since NOAA is a civilian agency, they had to move and find a new home, and so they moved to Lakeland-Linder. You may not recognize them as NOAA, but you might have heard of the Hurricane Hunters, and that is the group that flies out of Lakeland. This is one of their aircraft. Thank you very much, Tony. Thanks for joining us. Have a good one. And we'll go ahead and get our landing lights on. Taxi lights can come off. And we'll take the runway. Plant City traffic, NOAA 06, taking runway 08. Departure to the east. Yeah, we had a little thing like a double engine failure on the takeoff roll, change what we're doing. Noise abatement procedure is to depart this into the runway, climb to 500 feet before making any maneuver. And there we are. We'll go ahead and throttle it back because our destination airport is just off our nose. Lakeland Tower, NOAA 06. On final, runway 10. Sorry about that head turn. I thought I turned my head tracking off, but apparently I turned it on. GPWS wants to be argumentative. another happy landing. Welcome to KLAL, Lakeland-Linder Regional Airport, home of Sun and Fun and the Florida Aviation Museum. Where we're going, we don't need roads. Set parking brake. Taxi light can come off. Fasten seatbelt sign. Position. Any collision lights can come off. Left and right generators can come off. Strobes can come off. Master off. Battery off. Control locks engaged. Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who stuck around to the end, we recognize that you have a choice when you watch your flight sim content, and we're glad that you chose us for this flight. We would like to thank you and ask you to join us again next time. Until then, farewell. This is your captain speaking, Impending Joker, signing off. Thank you and have a good day, night, evening, or morning, depending on what part of the world you're in. Farewell.